Yes, it's the Headbangers Ball coming at you from Paris. We're out on the Queensryche European tour, and welcome back to you guys watching. And now we've got Chris back with me, and also for the first time on the show, it's time to say hello to Michael. So welcome to Headbangers Ball. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, and thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much.
It's great to see these guys back, isn't it? I'm sure you agree out there in Europe. Now, in the last segment, actually, we were talking about how you guys went up to the San Juan Islands and went into this isolated cabin and communed with nature and everything. How I was going to ask you how important your producer's role, Jimbo Barton, was in helping you kind of create and maintain that very relaxed atmosphere.
Well, basically, when we brought Jimbo into it, we had a stack of ADAT tapes, all demos and some final stuff, and his job was to pretty much organize it and make sense of it because we were really lousy bookkeepers. And so once we got all that sorted out, he kind of got in the vibe, and he said, great, you know, and we ended up using about 80 to 90% of the actual demos that we recorded, you know, at various times and in different places. So. And then as well, we did some jams and recorded some different things in the log cabin and outside and everything. So it was, I mean, his role was just to become, you know, part of us and to just get in on the vibe and organize the chaos.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, you are such fine musicians that I'm kind of surprised that you do need a producer. Would you ever consider just producing yourselves?
Well, actually, we co-produced this with Jimbo, and initially we contemplated doing it ourselves, but that inevitably leads to, you know, someone's got to kind of steer a little bit. It's nice to have some objectivity in there somewhere, and to prevent us from killing each other, which, you know, someone would inevitably step in and start, you know, making decisions. And it was just kind of nice to have, we have a trust with Jimbo. You know, if we ever get to a point where there's a couple guys in the band that maybe feel one way on something and a couple others feel another way, it was always nice to be able to kind of toss it over to Jimbo and say, well, Jimbo, what do you think about this? Yeah. And then it was just nice, you know, to take some of the pressure off of trying to have like a little, you know, dictatorship thing happening, you know, which doesn't happen. I mean, we work really nicely together, but also, you know, I guess the main reason that we brought Jimbo in is because, you know, the producer's role, or someone that we would bring in to work with us, is really to take a snapshot of what we're doing, you know, and capture those moments. We did that with the demos, as Michael said. So much of it was already there, but we feel so comfortable with Jimbo, and he's an expert. You know, the guy, he can mix. He could, you know, we started thinking to ourselves, well, we've got to mix all these demos and make some sense out of it. You know, bring them all together, and that's. Jimbo was able to blend things that were recorded at, you know, Michael's house on one day with stuff that was recorded at my house and Jeff's house, and, you know, we would all sometimes take different approaches to the same song, and things would sound very different, so he could bring those together and try and make them live under the same roof, so to speak, right. You know, without too much effort.
Yes, that's a real skill. That's great.
Yeah. You have to realize that when you have 5 creative maniacs running around, you've got to have somebody with a whip.
Right. Yes, that sums it up really, doesn't it? That was, thank you for that, Michael. Now, some of the lyrics could be open to interpretation in different ways, but Bridge is the most poignant and direct track on the album, which was written by you, Chris. I would imagine that was a hard song to write.
Yeah, that was a track really that took, you know, this many years for me, I suppose, to be able to look back and get some sort of perspective on a relationship. You know, my relationship with my father. I think the song was triggered by me becoming a father during the time that we came off of the Empire. I have a beautiful little daughter named Riley.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She's 2 years old, and she's wonderful. But I started looking at myself really and recognizing, as a result of me thinking of myself as a father now, it started getting me looking at how that role was played in my life, and basically it was a vacancy, you know. I had a real fulfilling childhood from a parental perspective, but it was just from my mom. And so anyway, Bridge is a song that really is my perspective on the importance of having a foundation in really any relationship, that it's not something that can just appear out of thin air, you know. It's something that has to be nurtured and developed and really built. And I thought Bridge was just that's the metaphor, you know, that I chose to use as a link between, you know, people. And the song really, it spells it out like it was an attempt to try and create a relationship really out of something that wasn't there.
Well, so I'm sure we can all relate to that. Good. Okay, so with a video directed by Matt Mahurin, this is that very track we were talking about, written by Chris. This is Bridge. That was Dylan Fence with Living Room Scene, the title track of their third album, and that band most definitely get the seal of approval from the Headbangers Ball crew, and you may have seen them out on the road in Europe recently with the Black Crows. So that was Dylan Fence. Keep an eye out for them. Very good band. And we're still talking to Queensryche on their European tour. Chris and Michael here with me at the Elysee Montmarte in Paris. And talk a little bit more generally now. How do you feel that you've changed as people over, since the success of Empire, and how has the chemistry of the band been tested by these changes? Because I think it's interesting to know that Queensryche have had the same lineup since day one.
Well, I think the chemistry has certainly endured many tests. You know, we had everything from a change in our management, which was a real test of the chemistry years ago, which I know doesn't sound like much, but that was a pretty turbulent time back then. But I would imagine the popularity of the band happening over a gradual period of time, I think, has been good for us. It's allowed people to adjust in increments. And I know that many bands these days, you know, it's so easy in this, in the world of satellite communication, and you know, a band can emerge out of nowhere and just be huge instantaneously, and it's a lot to digest. You know, the life really gets turned around backwards. Everyone knows who you are and recognizes you, and your financial status changes immeasurably. And hopefully, sometimes not. But I mean, I'm talking about, you know, people wonder why people are so messed up. You know, some people that attain real huge success so instantly, and it's a lot to deal with. For us, I just think we've been blessed with, you know, just some strong friendships. I think originally from the get-go, it was, you know, a common interest in what we do together, but I think everybody's been able to remain very good friends, and we're not just doing this still because you know, we're boxed into doing something. I mean, people get on really well together, and we recognize our chemistry is strong.
Good.
Yeah, it's been a gradual progression, and our whole interest in this was to create music and to be creative, and thus you have to leave the egos kind of on the side. And with that philosophy intact, we've managed to stay, you know, just on the path.
Good.
And I think we'll always be progressive in that, and we'll always be able to get along. It's just something that's unique to ourselves, and it works.
Yes. I'm very lucky to have it. It's very, very important, especially when you're out on the road for months and months and months and so on. It's really, really good. I mean, returning to the album, I found it quite challenging to listen to it and digest it all. And it is somewhat depressing in some ways, but do you say that overall it has a very positive message? I think there's a message of hope there.
Yeah, I think that we... you know, it's a very true album in the sense that sometimes, I don't know, life isn't all completely up. I mean, Empire was pretty much a fairly up album, I think.
But you had like almost love songs there as
Yeah,
well, like
yeah.
Jet City Woman.
Exactly.
But-
And those are real parts of us, and I think Promised Land is just kind of it has a little bit of a cynicism in it that, maybe after the success of something like Empire, that it's like people really have this fantasy that maybe if they win the lottery, that all the problems in their life will be solved, once they've attained a certain level of success.
Well, I haven't won a lottery, but I know that success brings a whole new set of problems.
Well, there were problems. I mean, when we were struggling to get started, there were more problems, I mean, it was tough. We're living a dream come true. Life for us is, this is it. This is what everybody ever wanted to do. But I think that this idea that, that it has to be, you constantly have to find within yourself the passion, to do something, and I don't know. We've been lucky. The album has got a, getting back to your question and not off on my tangent, which I do so well. It is an underlying positive message to what seems like on the surface kind of a bummer vibe.
And on that note, we will go into our next short break, but really I've got so much to ask the guys about the Promised Land album that I'll be talking to them some more after that. We're also going to be taking you down to the Wild Hearts album launch party, a little bit of change of scene for you there for a few minutes after the break. And we're also going to be talking to Queensryche's tour manager about the staging and production on this tour. So lots to look forward to on this Queensryche special. We'll take that short break now, and taking us into the break, we're going to see more of Queensryche live on